Had you seen reports that said that at one point in time?
I have seen reports that said that.
Just to be clear, were you anywhere in the vicinity when Paul and Maggie were shot?
I was nowhere near Paul and Maggie when they got shot.
After SLED collected your clothing that night at the main residence at Moselle, you remember changing in? You remember what you changed into?
Do I remember?
Yeah.
I know I changed clothes, and I've learned since then what I had on, but I don't.
You don't remember? Okay.
I don't remember that at all. But I understand I had on athletic shorts and a T-shirt.
Sure. And other people have talked about this. I'm not going to repeat it, but where did you spend the night, or where did you go to after leaving Moselle when you left for the evening?
We went to Alameda. We went to my mom and dad's house, and we stayed there.
And who went with you?
I believe that Bus and Brooklyn and I rode together. John Marvin might have been with us. I know John Marvin stayed at Alameda with us. I just don't know if he rode in the same car we rode in. But I know I rode with Buster in Brooklyn. I know that for a fact.
And the next morning, what'd you do? And we're talking about daylight hours on June the 8th. What did you do?
And we basically got up and came back to Moselle.
Do you remember roughly what time you got to Moselle?
I don't remember. No, I don't remember what time. There's things I remember about that morning, but I don't remember exactly what time we left.
And Alec, we'll get to this in more detail, but during that period of time, is it hard to remember times when things started, stopped, and how long things took?
I mean, it's definitely hard to remember. Now, looking at these timelines and all these records, I mean, it sure helps, but to just do it off the top of my head is very difficult.
Okay, and we'll get to more of that. When you went back to Moselle on the morning of June the 8th, do you know whether you took a shower there, or took a shower at Alameda, or took a shower at all?
Now, I know we took a shower at Moselle. I did not take a shower before I left Alameda. We basically got up and went to Moselle, Maggie's mom and dad. They're coming. Tell them, see them. We got up. I mean, we got up from Alameda and we left and we went to Moselle.
And do you know? Do you even recall SLED coming in and searching the house for anything on the 8th?
I knew that. I knew they were doing it. Yeah. I knew they were doing it.
Okay.
But I don't remember. I wasn't out in that gun room and see all that video and all that. But I knew SLED was coming in there. I mean, we made the house available for them to come in there. So I mean, I can't tell you details, but yeah, I remember it.
Did you at one point just tell SLED they had carte blanche to search anywhere, anytime?
I told SLED they could do anything, anywhere, anytime that they wanted to. Anything to do with me, my property, my cars. Even though I didn't own the cars, I would get my law firm owned the cars. I would have the people. They had full, whatever they wanted, they were welcome to.
And did you have any discussions with David Owen or anybody at SLED about consenting to General Motors to get that off the car?
Every time that I talked to David Owens, I would ask him about getting OnStar data and GPS data from phones.
And why was it important to you to get OnStar data and GPS data from the phone?
To confirm where I was saying I went, what I did, GPS. You know, at that point in time, I knew that Maggie's phone had been taken, and I knew that my Suburban and my phone and Maggie's phone never crossed paths, and that was extremely important to me. And I asked him about it every single time we talked, every single time.
And speaking of Maggie's phone, did you know her password to her phone?
Yes, I knew her password.
Did you know her password to her computer?
Yes,
Did she know your password?
yes.
Okay. And when Maggie's phone was located on the side of the road, did you provide SLED password to her phone?
I did. I think I actually provided it to Marvin, who provided it to SLED. I'm the one who gave it to him.
Right. And your knowledge that Maggie's have these location services on her phone, she used them frequently.
All the time. One of Maggie's things that she liked to do was there's that app called Find My Friends that you can see what other people are doing and they can see what you're doing. Maggie loved me, us, Paw, Brooklyn, Grandma, Papa T, Marion, the three girls, Lizzie. There were a few others, but the people that were closest to her, she had them all on her phone, and she loved to look at that phone and see where people are, and she loved to surprise you. Like, let's say you're at Walmart, she looks on there, and she'd love to text you, get me a piece from Walmart or something, you know, like she'd show you and see where you were. Used it all the time. And so, you know, I just knew that there would be GPS data on Maggie's phone.
Alec, when you're being interviewed on the night of June 7th and again on June the 10th, what was your understanding as to why they were interviewing you? Why were you being interviewed?
On June the 7th and June the 10th?
Yes, sir.
What's the question again?
What is his understanding of why SLED was interviewing him on the night of June the 7th and again on June the 10th?
And the basis for the objection?
401 and 402, Your Honor.
What do you mean?
Relevance, Your Honor. His understanding is not important. What he said is important, Your Honor.
Response.
Well, I can. It goes to his, you know, his follow. It goes to his state of mind. I mean, that's what it goes to.
Objection sustained.
Did why was it important to you to be able to get data from the Suburban, data from your phone, and data from Maggie's phone?
I knew at that point in time, I knew since I'm the person who found Pawpaw and Mags that I was a suspect. I mean, they kept talking about this circle, but I mean, I knew that. It was very important for me to find that, to get that.
And what was your belief as to that information? What would it have done for you?
There's no question in there that it would demonstrate that I've done this.
And when was the data from General Motors off that Suburban finally obtained?
It was either this Saturday or the Saturday before that, according to what said in this courtroom.
during this trial?
Absolutely.
And to your knowledge, GPS data ever able to be located off Maggie's phone?
Not just knowledge, it was not able to be gotten. And y'all, the testimony was in here. That it couldn't be gotten. It only went back to June the 9th. Everything before that was erased on Maggie's phone.
Now, when starting June the 8th, when Moselle, did a lot of people come to support you, be with you on June the 8th?
On June the 8th,
Yes,
like the next day?
right.
Yes, sir. A lot of people.
And you mentioned your Maggie's parents, family came as well.
Yes, sir.
From that moment, June 8th, folks came and to Moselle, and you met with them. Were you left alone by any of your family members the rest of that week?
No, I mean, I was attached to Buster. At the hip. But
And what happened
I
on
was.
what happened in the tent? Besides being interviewed by SLED?
My dad died. My dad passed.
And where did you stay, and with whom did you stay on the night of June the 8th, the night of June the 9th, the night of June the 10th?
On the night of June, you asked me to start on the 8th.
The 8th, yes, sir.
All right. Starting on the 8th, I stayed with Buster every night. I stayed with Buster as long as Brooklyn was there. I stayed with Buster. But we stayed with I'm pretty sure that's beginning on the 8th. I know the 7th we stayed at Alameda, and I believe on the 8th we started staying at John Marvin and Lizzie's at Greenfield.
And how far is Greenfield from Alameda?
As the crow flies, I mean, it's no distance. It's less than 5 minutes. It's probably a few minutes away.
And who stayed there? Did John Marvin and his wife Liz stay there as well?
Yes, John and Lizzie. All right, John and Lizzie stayed there, and their kids, Bus and Brooklyn and I. I know Bubba and Maymay stayed there. Well, Lizzie's mom and dad stayed there. And my daddy's best friend and his wife came in. I believe they came before my daddy passed. I know they came after he passed and stayed there.
And how many nights do you recall staying there at Greenfield?
So Greenfield, all right, the 7th was Monday. Stayed Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at Greenfield. I know that for a fact.
And the Maggie and Paul's funeral was Saturday, is that right?
Now, I heard that in this courtroom. It was Saturday, but
The memorial services?
nah, their funeral was on Friday.
It was on Friday.
I know that for a fact, too.
And your father's funeral was on Sunday?
My father's funeral was on Sunday, and it was my father's funeral. I forget the term. That's when we put Mag. That's when we buried him. We did when we had service on the day. So I don't think they were done. That's when we buried him, along with my dad on Sunday.
And Alec, what'd you do with the following week, that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Starting when now?
So the day after your dad's funeral.
All right, Monday. I went to Grandma and Papa T's. Somerville.
At some Monday.
And you mean what did I do when I got up?
Well, where did you stay?
We
Monday
stayed at Greenfield Monday night. So we woke up at Greenfield on Monday.
So, and Sunday night you were with the same family members, your brother, and Brooklyn, and Buster, and
That's right.
okay, and Liz.
And Lizzie and Lizzie's mom and dad, and I believe Donnie and Paula were still there, but I can't remember when they left.
And then you went to Somerville with whom?
I believe I went to Somerville by myself, but I know Buster in the car by myself. I can't remember if Buster and I rode together, but I think we might have had separate cars. We probably did ride together that first day. I don't remember, but I know I went to Somerville. Buster was in Somerville with Grandma and Papa T.
And Somerville is where Maggie's parents live?
That's right. That's Maggie's mom and dad. Maggie's mom is Grandma, and Maggie's dad's Papa T.
And did you stay with them for a few days? In Somerville?
I stayed with them longer. In Somerville, I stayed with them. We stayed in Somerville Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. Then we went to Greenville.
Okay. And what Greenville?
My niece. That was she was having a baby, and Maggie had just been. She's been so excited. So she's just proud of those girls. She was so excited about the baby. And so the baby being born just became such a big deal to me.
Was the baby born?
Yeah.
Okay. And you
Yep. Baby was born. Beautiful little baby girl. Beautiful little mom.
Did you go up to the lake after that?
We did. We stayed. This lake, Kiowee, is really close to Greenville. So when I say we went to Greenville, we really went to Lake Kiowee, but we went there, just, you know. And when she had the baby, I want to say the baby might have gotten born shortly after we got there, like Thursday, but I think it was Saturday before we could go and see them and see my niece and see the baby. So, you know, I mean, that's where we went, was to Lake Kiowee. But they live in Greenville.
On the morning of June 16th, I think that was that Wednesday. I think that's a Wednesday. Where'd you wake up?
Somerville.
Did you ever go to Nita on that day?
On Wednesday?
Yes, sir.
I don't believe so.
Did you go to Alameda at 6:30 in the morning on the?
I know for a fact that I didn't go to Alameda at 6:30 in the morning. I was in Somerville. I didn't go to Alameda at any point early in the morning. I was in Somerville, and I'm not positive about this, but I know those. I know they did I know some of those records they have. It was sometime before I left Somerville.
Did you ever take during that week? Let's just start with that week following your dad's funeral. Did you ever take a tarp into the house at Alameda? A tarp, a blue tarp.
The week following my dad's funeral?
Yes, sir.
No, I did not.
There's been I don't know where it is in any of these boxes, but this blue rain jacket. Have you ever seen that before?
Never seen it before, never touched it, and don't know anything about it.
Did you never remember at any point in time over the house at Alameda?
No, I don't remember it. I don't remember taking a tarp over there, but you know, I mean, Shelley's got something in her mind about that, and there may have been some point, but I certainly don't remember it, and it certainly wasn't any time around my dad's funeral or the weeks following.
I think we talked briefly about your recollection of times, and
Okay.
and I just want to play Doug from State's Exhibit 517, which is the August 11th interview, starting at 5 minutes and 52 seconds. If you could pull that clip up, and I want you to listen to this.
Okay. Tell me again what it is.
It's August 11th interview, starting at 5 minutes and 52 seconds.
All right.
Can you go to 5 minutes and 52 seconds?
Who was at your house when you left, and what time did you go to the office?
We have been.
Who was at your house when you left, and what time did you go to the office?
We had been to a ball game that weekend. I don't remember exactly what time. It would have been somewhere between 8:30 and 9:30, probably.
Okay.
10 o'clock maybe at the latest.
Okay.
Something like that.
Were you being asked when you went to work on the 7th?
Yes.
And you said 8:30 to 9:30 in the morning?
And I think 6 o'clock at the latest.
Is that correct?
No, it wasn't.
Now I've seen all these records. What does it look like? What time you went to work on the 7th?
A little afternoon.
All right. If we'll go to the Doug State's Exhibit 243, which is the June 10 interview.
You know, Mr. Griffin, on that same date, though, I also, if you play that thing, and I don't know if it's right then, but if you play that further, I also told him the best way to see exactly when I went in that door is to go and get my information from my law firm. And I told them that we have a, you know how things are electronic now, where you don't have a key, you have a key card, and you have a key card in your wallet, and so when you use it it creates like all this other stuff, a digital footprint. And I told David Owens that he could go get it from my office.
And was that a common response of yours when you were asked about specific times, that you would give them, your best estimate, but you would point them to where they could find the most accurate data?
Yes, sir.
You did that more than once?
Yes, sir.
So if we've got the June 10th interview, which is State's Exhibit 243, and Doug, I'd like to go to 9 minutes and 59 seconds. And here you're being asked, when did Paul arrive at Moselle?
Roughly what time in the afternoon?
I would think it'd be somewhere in the 5 o'clock range, a little bit. It was broad daylight when we were, it wasn't dusk, dark, or late.
Okay.
And we rode, we just rode around. We rode around.
So did you tell him on June 10th that Paul got there at 5 o'clock time period?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I obviously did.
And was that incorrect?
Yes, sir. It was incorrect.
Okay. And what time did you, looking at the records now, what time did it look like Paul actually got there?
And looking at the records, it's clear that he got there sometime around 7 o'clock.
Did at some point in time you have a conversation with Shelley Smith about, how long you were over at Alameda on the night of June the 7th? Do you remember?
I don't distinctly remember having a conversation with her about how long I was over there, but I know that I told Shelley Smith that SLED was going to come and talk to her, and that I'd appreciate it if she would talk to them, and that she just needed to tell them the truth.
And did you take extra care not to talk to people that you knew SLED would be talking to?
Absolutely.
And why is that?
After this boat wreck that you've heard so much talk about in this courtroom, there were social media, newspaper. It went deeper than that, but there was so much talk about how I, fixed witnesses and structured the investigation, just things that were totally false, that were absolutely baseless, but it was said repeatedly, and it was reported repeatedly how I'd done this and with this witness and influenced this police officer and all these things. So I wasn't taking any chances.
I want to ask you about, you can take that down, thank you. Ask you about the August 11th interview with David Owen at SLED office in, I think, here in Walterboro. Do you remember
August 11th, absolutely.
had you requested that?
I've been requesting, what I'd really been requesting is some information. I've been begging David Owens to come meet with me, and specifically I wanted Grandma, Papa T. There were so many questions that I couldn't answer. And I've been begging him to meet with me and to meet with Grandma and Papa T. I've been begging him for weeks and weeks.
And did we went into the meeting on August 11th, did you think that's what it was for? To give you an update?
Yes.
And at the conclusion of the meeting, let you know that you're the prime suspect.
What was said.
Mr. Griffin?
I'll rephrase it. By the conclusion of the meeting, Did they make it known to you that you were suspect?
Oh, there's no doubt about that. Absolutely. Now, he used a lot of, I mean, to talk about how I'm in this circle and he can't get me out and this and that, but there's no doubt in my mind. There was no question in my mind what was going on.
And during that meeting, did they show you a Snapchat video of you trying to stand up the food tree?
Yes.
And were you questioned about what clothing you were wearing?
And I remember this. I can't remember for me the whole video or he showed a picture of it, but I was definitely showed that information. I was definitely shown those clothes in that meeting on August 5th.
And what clothes were you wearing?
The same ones you see in.
And do you remember what kind of pants?
It was khaki pants.
And what shirt?
It's a button-down, short-sleeve button-down. I call it a shirt, but it's short-sleeve button-down dress shirt.
Like shirt you got there, but just short.
Just
sleeve.
like this, but short-sleeve, and it was colored.
And it was, what color was it?
Blue. Blue with some blue stripes.
And were you questioned about when you changed out of those clothes?
I was.
And did you have a follow-up? Did you have a conversation after that meeting with Blanca about what you were that day?
Absolutely.
And what was the purpose of the conversation with Blanca?
Well, they made an issue about that in that meeting, and I asked Blanca about those clothes that I had on earlier that day.
Did you ask her specifically about the blue shirt?
I asked her specifically about all the clothes.
Okay.
What I asked Blanca about specifically was, did she remember getting my clothes after she came back? She came back to Moselle. Did she remember getting my clothes? Is specifically what I asked her.
I see. And why were you asking her those questions?
Because on August 11th, they had made an issue about me still wearing those clothes, not having changed clothes when I was in that Snapchat video. So that's why I went to Blanca.
Did they ever ask you on August 11th whether, you for those clothes? Can you produce the clothes? Did they ask you that?
No, they didn't.
Have they ever asked you for those clothes?
No. As far as my understanding goes, my clothes were never an issue in this case until y'all figured out, as my lawyers figured out, that there was no blood spatter on me.
Sir?
Is that objection, Your Honor?
For the objection.
40142 and beyond speculation, Your Honor.
Mr. Griffin,
It's a matter of public record. It's a matter of public record.
what is?
The issues with the shirt and the blood test
It's a matter of public record.
filed in this case, yes, sir.
Objection's overruled.
I'm well aware that my clothes never became an issue in this case until my lawyers proved that this blood spatter that they said I had on my shirt from my wife and my son was a lie, and that there was no blood on my shirt. And once they filed the documents and they proved that that was a lie, all of a sudden the clothes I was wearing back on that day became an issue. And that's in the weeks leading to this trial.
Alec, after the all were murdered on June 7th, 8th, where did you stay and where did you keep clothes?
Right. Say that again, please.
Where were you staying overnight? Well, let me ask you this. Did you ever spend another night at Moselle after June 7th?
I never spent another night at Moselle.
Why not?
Could've. Didn't.
Okay. Where were you staying? When we talked about the days and weeks, the week afterwards, but where were you staying when you got back from the lake, Kiowee and Greenville?
I stayed when I got back from Greenville. So it'd be the first week until my dad's funeral. Then, so that'd be the second week. So after I know Bus and I stayed with Grandma and Papa T as much as I could. You know. I stayed with I stayed with my brother Randy a lot. Stayed with my brother John a lot. Bus and I stayed at Edisto a little bit. But at the beginning, I really stayed with either my brother Randy and his wife Christy, or I stayed with brother John, his wife Lizzie. And basically at that time, Buster worked for Wild Wing at that time, and they'd been so kind to him and gave him, they let him be off just for a ridiculous amount of time. They were so good to him. So he stayed with me. When he had to go back to work, he would stay at my brother John and Lizzie's because it was close. So I would stay with Randy and Christy in Hampton. When Buster was there, I would almost always go to John and Lizzie's when Buster was there. I would go to John and Lizzie sometimes when Buster wasn't there. But I was Johnny Parker, one of my partners, had a guest house his mother-in-law had lived in when she was sick. That's really, it's right at the foot of Randy's drive. It's 100 yards, 70 yards from Randy's house. And I was going to move into that house until we figured out where I could live. I had clothes there. I had clothes at Randy's. I had clothes at John's. I had at Chichesi, which is, I think you heard Buster talk about Chichesi's, like where we went to the river, and I had clothes there. I had clothes in Somerville, and I still had clothes at Moselle.
Yes, sir.
Last question.
No, so were your clothes spread out a lot of different places?
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
We'll break for lunch and return in an hour and 15 minutes. Please do not discuss this. Recess, let's see, it's 1:25, what's that? 2:40? Recess for 2:40.